In 1997, the Spurs drafted Tim Duncan and won 5 championships. In 2023, they drafted Victor Wembanyama. And what's happening next might be even scarier, because this time, they're not building slow. They've got back-to-back Rookie of the Year winners, the number 2 pick, a massive collection of future draft assets, and a 21-year-old who's already the best defender on the planet. If you're not terrified yet, you're not paying attention.
All over Steph Castle years ago.
Wembanyama, no way!
Let's start with the obvious. Victor Wembanyama isn't just good, he's terrifying, and he's only getting started. In his rookie season, Wemby put up numbers that made NBA historians do double takes. 21.4 points, 10.6 rebounds, 3.9 assists, and here's the scary part, 3.6 blocks per game. That's not normal. That's not even generational. That's alien. His 10.1% block rate last season ranks as the 5th highest in NBA history. Only Manute Bol has ever posted better marks. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. But here's what should really keep opposing GMs up at night. He's evolving fast. Remember when people said he'd need years to adjust NBA physicality? Yeah, about that. By the end of his rookie season, Wemby was already hunting mismatches in the post, hitting step-back threes over defenders 6 inches shorter than him, and anchoring a defense that went from 23rd to 5th after the All-Star break. And then came year 2. Before his injury sidelined him, Wemby was averaging 24.8 points on improved efficiency, adding a reliable mid-range game, and once again leading the league in blocks. He was well on his way to his first Defensive Player of the Year award before the deep vein thrombosis derailed his season. But it's not just the stats, it's the impact. When Wemby's on the court, opponents shoot 8.2% worse at the rim. That's not defense, that's a force field. Teams are literally changing their entire offensive schemes just to avoid him.
Simon's weaving his way to the hoop. And there is Victor Wembanyama! Oh!
Some are running 5-out sets with no one in the paint. Others are trying to drag him out to the perimeter, only to watch him recover and swat corner threes like they're layups. And offensively, he's become unstoppable. The league has never seen a 7-foot 4-inch player who can pull up from 30 feet, Euro step through traffic, run pick and rolls as the ball handler, post up traditional centers, face up and attack closeouts like a wing. The Spurs' offensive rating with Wemby on the court last season, 118.4. That would have led the league. Without him, 106.2. That's the difference between the best offense in basketball and the worst. But here's the real kicker. Stephon Castle just won Rookie of the Year playing alongside him. That's 2 straight Rookie of the Year awards for San Antonio. The last teams to do that, the 2015-16 Timberwolves with Wiggins and Towns. And before that, you have to go all the way back to the 1973-74 Buffalo Braves. It's happened just twice in 50 years. And now the Spurs have joined that exclusive club. Castle's development has been the perfect complement to Wemby, a defensive bulldog who can switch 1 through 4, create his own shot, and crucially, knows when to get out of the way and let the alien do alien thing. Together, they're forming a 2-way core that could terrorize the league for the next decade. But here's a stat that should terrify the league. When Wemby's on the floor, teams attempt just 45.6 shots per 100 possessions in the paint. When he sits, that jumps to 52. That's not defense, that's psychological warfare.
Gives it up to Sohan. Jeremy right back to Victor. Oh,
and now, the Spurs are back on the clock with the number 2 pick. What they do next could change everything. Let's talk about how the Spurs got here, because this isn't luck, this is design. San Antonio currently holds the number 2 pick, the number 14 pick from Atlanta, Atlanta's 26 and 27 unprotected first rounders, Boston's 2028 swap rights, Sacramento 2031 swap rights, the best of Dallas, Minnesota 2030 first rounder, and 4 extra second rounders over the next 3 years. That's 24 future draft picks over the next 6 years. That's not a war chest, that's an arsenal. And at number 2, they're almost certainly getting Dylan Harper, the Rutgers guard who's been drawing comparisons to a young De'Aaron Fox with better size and playmaking. Harper averaged 19.4 points, 4.6 rebounds, and 4 assists in his lone college season, shooting 48% from the field and 33% from 3. But here's what makes Harper special for San Antonio. He's not ball dominant, unlike most top guard prospects who need the rock in their hands 24/7. Harper thrives off the ball. He's comfortable spotting up, cutting, and making quick decisions. In other words, he's perfect for playing alongside Wemby.
Bailey lost the handle to Harper. Transition three. Got it!
Think about it. Wemby drawing attention in the post or at the elbow. Harper cutting backdoor. Wemby setting a screen. Harper pulling up from three. Wemby in transition. Harper filling the lane. The chemistry writes itself. With Cooper Flagg going first to Dallas, Harper is essentially locked in at number 2. But the Spurs also have flexibility with that number 14 pick. They could get BYU's Igor Demon, the 6'9" point forward who's basically Luka Light, or a sharp-shooting wing like VJ Edgecombe, or Kasparas Yakuchonis to add even more spacing around Wemby. But here's where it gets really interesting. The Spurs don't need to draft for need. They're not desperate for a point guard or a wing or a big. They have flexibility. They can take best player available. They can package picks for a star. They can even punt and accumulate for more future assets. Remember, the last time the Spurs had this much draft capital, they turned it into Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, and Manu Ginobili. 3 Hall of Famers, 5 championships. This front office, led by Brian Wright, who learned under R.C. Buford, who learned under Pop, knows how to build dynasties. They've done it before, they're doing it again. And they're not just drafting well, they're developing at an elite level. Look at their recent track record. DeJounte Murray, 29th pick, All-Star. Derek White, 29th pick, NBA champion. Keldon Johnson, 29th pick, 20 points per game scorer. Devin Vassell, 11th pick, elite 3-and-D wing. Stephon Castle, 4th pick, Rookie of the Year. The Spurs don't just find talent, they maximize it. And now they have more picks than they know what to do with. So if they have the assets, could a superstar trade be coming? One name keeps popping up. Here's where things get spicy. The Spurs have been linked to every available star for the past year, but they're not interested in just anyone. They want someone who fits their timeline, someone who can grow with Wemby, someone young. Enter Trey Murphy III. The 25-year-old Pelicans wing is exactly what San Antonio needs. A 6'9" sharpshooter who can defend multiple positions, create off the bounce, and crucially, doesn't need the ball to be effective.
Not that time, though.
Now you got to make him pay here.
Gonna be a lob. Stays there.
He's shooting 38% from 3 for his career and averaged 21 points per game last season. The Pelicans are in chaos. Zion can't stay healthy. They're capped out. They need to reset. And the Spurs have what they want. Young players and picks. A potential package could look like Spurs get Trey Murphy III, Pelicans get Jeremy Sohan, number 14 pick, maybe a future first or second round. That's a lot for a non-all-star, but Murphy is exactly the type of player who explodes next to a generational talent. Think Chris Middleton with Giannis, Klay Thompson with Steph, the perfect complementary star. And while losing Sohan would hurt, he's been their defensive quarterback. Murphy's elite shooting and two-way ability might be worth the upgrade. But Murphy's not the only target. League sources indicate the Spurs are also monitoring Deni Avdija from the Blazers. The 24-year-old forward had a breakout season in Portland, but the Blazers are nowhere near competing. San Antonio could offer a package centered around the number 14 pick. Then there's Jonathan Kuminga from the Warriors. If Golden State decides to go all in on for one more run, Kuminga could be available. The Spurs have the assets to outbid anyone. Then there's Lauri Markkanen. This is the dream target. Utah's stuck in mediocrity, Markkanen's prime is being wasted, and the Spurs could offer a godfather package. An 18-point-per-game scorer who shoots 37% from 3 for his career, next to Wemby, that's terrifying.
Well, if you notice, he always goes up with 2 on the block. Markkanen in rhythm.
But here's the genius part. The Spurs don't need to make a move. They can wait. They can develop. They can let teams come to them. With 24 future draft picks over the next 6 years, they have more ammunition than almost any team in the league. Here's what the rest of the league doesn't want to admit. San Antonio is already scary. They won 39 games last year with Wemby missing 20-odd games, Fox joining mid-season, then missing the end with hand surgery, and relying heavily on a rookie in Castle. They're already trending up. Add Dylan Harper, add natural development, add health. This is a 45-48 win team next season. Maybe a playoff team. In the West, with Wemby entering year 3, and then comes 2026. Cap space, free agency, the ability to add a max player to a core of Fox, Wemby, Castle, Harper, Vassell, plus whoever else they draft or trade for. That's not a competitive window opening, that's a competitive decade. The rest of the NBA should be terrified because the Spurs aren't just back, they're building something different. This isn't the slow, methodical, grounded out Spurs of old. This is a team built around the most unique player in NBA history. A team that can play fast or slow, big or small, traditional or modern.
Wemby faces up. Over the top of Trace Jackson.
A team that can adapt to any era because their centerpiece transcends eras. Think about the last Spurs dynasty. It lasted 20 years because they had Tim Duncan, a player so good, so consistent, so adaptable that they could build any style around him. Now they have Wemby, who makes Duncan look traditional by comparison. The infrastructure is there. The culture never left. Pop officially retired after health issues at the end of last season, but the system he built lives on. The front office is elite. The development program is unmatched. The city is brought in. All they need was another generational talent. They got one. Maybe the most generational talent ever. The Spurs already have the game's next superstar. Now they have the picks, the flexibility, and the vision. The rest of the NBA, they better wake up because San Antonio isn't just back, they're building something terrifying. Look, we've seen super teams rise and fall. We've seen dynasties crumble, but we've rarely seen a team with this much young talent, this many assets, and this clear of a vision all come together at once. The 2014 Spurs played the most beautiful basketball we've ever seen. The 2025-26 Spurs might play the most unstoppable basketball we've ever seen. Victor Wembanyama is a cheat code. Stephon Castle is elite at getting to the rim. Dylan Harper might be the perfect co-star. And they're all under 23 years old. The Spurs aren't just planning for next year, they're planning for the next decade. And if you're a fan of any other NBA team, that should scare the hell out of you. The NBA has a San Antonio Spurs problem, and it's only just beginning. So what do you think? Are the Spurs about to take over the league again? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, hit that subscribe button because we're going to be talking a lot about this team over the next few years.